welcome to this podcast. Today I have a guest. It's Dorien. And Dorien, do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. My name is Dorien Morin-van Dam, and like Phyllis, I am born Dutch, born and raised in the Netherlands, immigrated to the US on my own at age 18, and I now live in the beautiful state of Vermont. Definitely was wonderful to come back home to New England after 20 years in South Carolina, where we raised our family. I'm a social media strategist, an organic specialist, international speaker, and runner. So, there's lots of things to talk about.
Yeah, the running is something we have in common.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you did quite some marathons too, right?
Yes, I did. And I am currently nursing an injury. I had a
Oh.
stress fracture in my tibia that I attributed to shin splints for a while. And so I kept running and I kept hurting. So finally got it fixed. So I just got out of my boot last week and feeling so much better, but not running yet. So I'm hoping by, midsummer that I could maybe start running.
Yeah, oh, great. Yeah, it's so nice that, yeah, like you said, you're Dutch too. Now, well, I'm Dutch too, like my listeners probably know and you can hear. Well, you live in the US, I live in Canada. And like you said, you're an expert on social media strategy. And for today, we wanted to talk about the organic social media. That's something you know a lot about. And I think it's an interesting topic because, especially, at least what I see, is a lot of people trying to find alternative ways to grow social media and try tricks or like certain models to grow. While, yeah, the organic side, I think, is way more valuable. And your take on it is probably the same.
Yeah. So what's happening is you have the paid media and you have the organic side.
Yeah.
And when people get started, if it's a startup, they often are looking at vanity numbers, we call them. I want 10,000 followers. I want,
Yeah.
this and that. But what they're really saying is they want to sell their product or their service. And
Yeah.
so if you are a social media manager and you're not involved in the strategy part, you're just tasked with creating content. And while that could have a little bit of value, if you don't know what the goal is, if you don't know what they want to sell, how much they want to sell, what the sales team is telling people when they're trying to sell, your social media is not really going to work for you. So so you can have paid media where you
Mhm.
have Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, all of
Yeah.
that paid. And then the organic piece is really content marketing. And it
Yeah.
encompasses a lot of stuff, but organic social is anything that you would post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, any of that. And when people say organic is dead, I just laugh. The
Mhm.
best, the best little formula, if I can share that, is when you have organic and paid both. If you have to start with one and you have a small budget, start with organic. It's authentic, it's real,
Yeah.
it's the time that it takes to create content and put it out. Paid, you're immediately having to pay somebody to monitor as well as paying for the ad. So that jumping into paid is a little bit more of a leap. So I
Mhm.
always say my best client is a Facebook ad agency that I can partner with. So I can do the organic side, they will do the paid. So that's
Yeah.
really my sweet spot.
Mhm.
And I love creating and coming up with content ideas for both B2B and B2C. So organic is not dead. Content marketing is not dead. Content marketing also includes email. It includes blogging. So those are all pieces of the puzzle. I
Mhm.
mainly do the content piece. So I will either edit a blog. For some clients, I write blogs, but most of the time the expert should be writing the blogs, but I'll do the
Yeah.
editing and taking care of the blog. And the same
Mhm.
with email. I might write an email, but I don't want to set up the email flows and the funnels and all of that. Those are
The
experts for
technical
that.
side.
So,
Yeah.
right. I'm really doing the content piece of the story that we want to tell about your brand. That's really where I shine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think like if you would only do the paid marketing and your content isn't speaking to the people, and indeed what you said is not written towards the goals that you've set for yourself, just it's just throwing money out of the window. I'm not sure if that's the right way of saying it, but it's such a shame and a waste of your money if your content isn't appealing to your audience, and then it's such a waste.
Well, it also doesn't work. So here,
Yeah.
I'll use an example. So if you have a $4,000 or $3,000 product and you're running Facebook ads, now, Phyllis, would you buy a $3,000, say, motorcycle without, you're getting fed a Facebook ad, right? You're going to go to the page and there's nothing on the Facebook page because the ad is running separately from the
Yeah.
page. Would you give somebody $3,000 for a motorcycle if you can't have a conversation with a person on Facebook? No, it's like
No.
having a store where the sign open is there, the door is open, you go inside, but there's no motorcycles and nowhere to pay, right? It's
No.
kind of like that. So that's when
Yeah.
you run an ad for a high, product, high level
Mhm.
product, high price product. So
Yeah.
the organic piece is where you have the beautiful storefront, you invite people in, they can ask questions, you have a variety of things that they can look at, sniff, pick up, like you do in a store
Yeah.
touch. They can
You
try
get a
to see
feeling, an
the
overall
feeling,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
So you build that trust, and then when you're ready to sell something, you can do a micro offer with a Facebook ad. Say, buy my $7 calendar template, or buy my $25 mini course on XYZ. Once you
Yeah.
have that and you've had a proven record where people would buy from you because they trust you, then you can
Yeah.
go to the higher pieces. So that's kind of where a lot of people go wrong. They want that initial push, they want the followers, the
Yep.
vanity, but they're not willing to build the trust and build that business correctly on social.
Yeah, I think the people want to take the shortcuts. Like, okay, it's my goal to eventually sell that higher priced offer. How can I get there as quick and as soon as possible? And maybe if I put a lot of money in my ads, then people will buy it because bigger numbers must have a bigger outcome. But that's not the way it works.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. You can
No.
you can you can make money on a small list if the
Yeah.
list is exactly the right people. So yeah,
Yes.
it's definitely something that people fall into. Now, if you're listening to this and you're in marketing, you probably know that a lot of the pushback comes from the C-suite, right? It's the CEO, the CFO, the CMO that want to see results, but really the results that you should be aiming for the first 3 to 6 months when starting with social media are reach and engagement. If you're engaging your
Yeah.
audience, if you're talking to them, if they're talking to you, if they're clicking on things, if they're watching your reels, if they ask for
Yeah.
more information, all that data is available. And that's the data you need to look at, not the sales. Here's
Yeah.
the truth. Social media gives you leads. Sales
Mhm.
gives you sales. If you've never heard that before, remember that. Social media gives you leads. So I can bring you 10,000 people to your website, but I can't sell for you with social
No,
media. Because
you
if your
don't push the button
website,
for them. No.
no, and if your website is crap, or your offer is crap, or your landing page is crap, I can't do anything about that. So the social part is where I can get leads and say, here's a warm audience, let's target them with a Facebook ads, or here is a wonderful blog, and we have this wonderful thing, and go to the website, and then there's a pop-up or a newsletter. All those things
Yeah.
work together, but I can't, a social media marketer could not and should not ever be solely responsible for your sales. So if you're
No.
listening to this and you're a business owner, if you need more sales, maybe you should do both. You hire a salesperson, but also hire a marketing person, because a marketing
Yeah.
person is not going to produce more sales from you right away. Eventually they can, but not
Yeah.
right away. Eventually those leads will turn into sales, but not right away.
Yeah, it's the strategy that's behind it that's building up. And it's not like you put something in it and immediately the results come out of it. You need the time to have it build up. And like you said, your audience needs to gain trust, like the know, like, trust. Yeah, you have to be able to guide people through that process.
Yes. Yep.
It's not
Absolutely.
immediately they're on your website and they're like, oh, I'll just throw everything in the basket and I'll just buy everything. That's not
No,
how it works in a store
no,
either. Like if
no.
you walk like years ago when there wasn't online shopping, you didn't also just go to a store and to a city and bought everything you saw. No, and it's interesting that there are quite some business owners too that think that it does work like that online. Like they know it doesn't work like that if you go out in the real life in the well,
Yeah,
in the city centers,
yeah.
but I think it works like that online. Well, it's
They've just,
even
yeah,
harder online, I would
harder.
say,
Yeah.
like to build up because you don't have that immediate face-to-face connection.
Exactly. It's even harder to do that.
Yeah.
Now, those that you see selling online, you might think there's instant success, but most of the time they've been doing this for years and they've put in a lot of effort in creating their communities. And this is the next piece
Hmm.
of organic social is you should be building a community of fans that where you not just only you reach out to them, where you have a one-on-one conversation with anybody in your community, but where your
Hmm.
community members, and this is the magic, start talking to each other. And that's where the
Yeah.
magic happens because then you have a potential customer or client turn into a client, turn into a super fan and a brand ambassador. And so a community can be a Facebook group, can be a Slack group, can be a Discord group, can be a LinkedIn group. It could even be on an offsite platform like Discord or School or Circle. But
Hmm.
building a community of people that love, like, know, and trust you, that love your product, and
Yeah.
then will advocate for you. That's a great organic social activity to do. So as you're building
Yeah.
your social media, build your community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like, do you notice the difference between the different social media platforms on how community building works? And if it's like easier, for example, on, I don't know, say Facebook, and it's harder on Instagram, or like,
Yeah.
what's your experience with that?
So it really comes back down to the goal, but also the audience, right? So if you have a product that you're trying to sell to CEOs, and the C-suite. So it's a service like a high executive coaching. Your Facebook ads most likely aren't going to do anything because those people are too busy to be on Facebook. They
Yeah.
might, however, be on LinkedIn, where you can do a targeted ad to them on LinkedIn, or offer a masterclass, or offer a download, or get their management team involved, who then say, hey, we want everybody in the team to do this course, blah, 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 right? So
Yeah.
knowing your audience, if you're targeting Generation Z, which I'm part of, you want to be on Facebook. Men and male and females over 50 are on Facebook.
Hmm.
So if
Yeah.
your community includes us, then, be on Facebook. If you're targeting 18 to 25-year-old, they're on Discord. So go to Discord if you want them to be part of your audience and your,
Yeah.
your potential buyer. So it depends on platform, but it really depends on who you're targeting and what you want to accomplish. Some communities are built just because they want brand ambassadors, and people and brands are looking for user-generated content, which communities are great for. Other
Yeah.
ones are saying they want brand ambassadors, want to find influencers, or just want to build trust. There are people who are building communities just to build trust. I'm here for
Yeah.
you. I'm the big CEO of a company, but I'm in this Facebook group and I'm going to answer your questions. I'll be in here Monday through Friday, every day
Yeah.
at lunchtime. I'm going to answer your questions. That builds incredible trust with a
Yeah.
community. So
I can
so
imagine.
setting your goals, knowing your audience, that will dictate where you should build your community.
Yeah. And then it's probably, it doesn't really matter which platform it is because you will find the way to make it work for your audience and for your services.
Right. So and this is one of the shifts that I saw a couple of years ago. TikTok was really taking off, and there were people
Hmm.
just with millions of followers on TikTok. Well, I don't know if you know, but a lot of people on TikTok weren't making money. TikTok doesn't pay like
Hmm.
YouTube. So I was at
Hmm.
a conference, and the trend was that those people on TikTok, those content creators, are finally realizing, hey, I'm not getting paid from TikTok by TikTok. So they would announce that they're starting a YouTube channel. And there was an example of somebody who took 4 million followers from TikTok over to YouTube, had a YouTube channel with 4 million followers, and immediately got paid a bunch of money by YouTube, because once you have that many subscribers, you
Yeah.
get the money, right? So once you build a
Yeah.
community and you have a loyal following, you would
Yeah.
be smart to not only put them on a platform that pays you, but put them on your email list. That's your community, because then you
Yeah.
have 100% control over what they see and when they see it. So whatever
Exactly.
community you build, also build your email list. That is part of your community.
Yeah, like don't put your eggs in one basket.
No,
Just
no.
spread it out and preferably at some spot where you have the control
Control.
over it instead of being, how you say it, like the algorithm that can bite
Yes.
you in the ass.
Or a platform that shuts you down.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That
Those
happens, or a
stories.
platform that
Wow.
goes down. There's so many
Yeah.
stories like that. So your email list is yours and cannot be touched. Your website is yours. So build your website out, get your community started, and then navigate your community members onto email as much as you can. Nurture that email list, have special offers. That's where you're going
Yeah.
to make the sales.
Yeah, and I also think that, well, indeed, if you start out on a platform and you want to get your audience to the email list, if we then go back again to the organic, authentic content that you create, that's what you need to get people on that email list. Like they need to have a reason to give you their email address
Right.
because like my email box is quite overflowing with a lot of emails that I don't just leave my email address everywhere anymore. Like in the beginning, I did, like everywhere where you could, I signed up. That's how
Yeah.
my private email boxes got way too flooded. And so I think you really have to already convince people in that content that you create and that you put out there to be able
That
to
it's
read
worth it.
by yeah, and it's worth it that they sign up and that you keep delivering the value also in that email
Right.
list.
Yeah, usually the best way to get people to sign up is where you give them something for free. So give them
Yeah,
a template, give them a checklist, give them something, a download that they like. I give you
yeah,
my email address, I get something, but then don't let that be the only thing they get. Then
no,
keep delivering value in more offers, more free downloads, amazing content, and yeah, have these special things going on. Nurture that email list if they're your best friend. And that's a lot of companies don't do that. They say, well, they're on my list. I'll email them once a week. Oh, well, I forgot for 3 weeks. So now four
yeah,
weeks later, let me do it again. But no, when you have an email list and you're actively building it, you have to set a schedule and be consistent. Consistency
yeah,
is, I think, the biggest thing that people miss out. But that's what
yeah.
community, you lose trust if you say you're going to email every week and then you don't, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's important to
exactly.
do that.
It's what I always say. Like consistency is key. It's you if you say something like I'm doing this, then you need to do it. And don't use excuses. And like I always get very irritated by people saying, "Oh, I'm going to do XYZ." And then they're like, "Oh no, this happened and that happened." I'm like, with everyone that circumstances are happening, like, is this some marketing strategy? Like, doors are closing. And then they're like, oh, I'll keep them open for another few days. Well, my trust is gone immediately. I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
you're just
Yeah.
lying to my face. You're saying you're doing one thing and you're doing something
Well,
else.
you were asking earlier about hacks. Those are the kind of hacks that some of the gurus, as we call
Yeah.
them, are saying that you should use. One of the hacks, for example, is sending out an email with a headline that has a spelling mistake, and then an
Mhm.
hour later saying, "Oops, it's the wrong email," and then sending a second email, and then people go, "Oh, I missed the first one." Open the first one, open the second one. Those kind of hacks drive me bonkers
Yeah.
because if it was genuine, I would see one. I could see 10 a day of those. So
Yeah.
people start
That's it.
seeing, yeah, people start seeing through those. But those are the kind of hacks that if you have something really important to say, say that in the headline. This is really important. If you're going to open, like, have a headline like, this is the one email you should not ignore. Like, that could
Hmm.
be a good headline, right? Because
Yeah.
now you have something important, but then deliver on the value in the email.
Yeah.
But those kind of hacks, or those pods, I don't know if you've heard about engagement pods where people are
Yeah.
like
I
in the
had it on my list to ask you about it.
yes, yeah. So there's a difference between an engagement pod and employee advocacy, or brand ambassador advocacy. So
Yeah.
engagement pods are where you and a bunch of random strangers who are really not connected anyway, that each have their own business, will go like each other's post and comment. And when it's not, when it's disingenuous like that, the
Yeah.
algorithm will pick up on it. I do you,
Yeah.
you do me, you go the rounds, and you do this day after day, week after week. It's not,
Yeah.
genuine.
No.
The engagement algorithm, the brand ambassador or employment or brand ambassador advocacy would be where you have a Slack channel or a WhatsApp channel and you say, we know you love our brand. We just went on Product Hunt. We're number 3. We want to get to number 1. Can everybody go and leave a comment and vote us up? That's a one-time thing for that. And then 3 weeks later, hey, we got a great Instagram study, on our blog. Here's some copy. Choose whichever one you want. Could you share this to your audience? That's not an engagement pod. That's a different
No.
kind of ask, but
Yeah.
those are definitely some ways to get more traction on your content. But there's some skanky, yucky ways, and then there's good ways to do it.
Yeah.
One company, friend of mine owns a SaaS company. She's a female founder, has been in AI for over 10 years, and she calls it Pile Up. She has a Slack channel for all her contractors and employees. And she says it's pile up time. So when she's been on a podcast, she puts the link in there and says, everybody pile on. And so whenever they see it, whether it's today or tomorrow or in 5 days, they go to that post and they say something positive. And so the person who interviewed the founder feels loved because all these people are there. And then it really works because it's not constantly, it's not every post she does. It's not every piece of content.
But that's the important thing. Like I see it on LinkedIn, for example. You have those groups and then you need to respond and then people need to respond to your posts. And it's also what I noticed, what it did to me. Like I saw posts of people and then every time the same persons were responding. Every time. But like with just 1 or 2 words. Great post, lovely, amazing. And I'm like, if I read the post, I'm like, okay, you could get a little bit more into depth with your response. But if it happens every time again and again and again, what happens to me is that I immediately lose the trust in the, I'm like, I don't believe the person that's posting it anymore. I just don't believe it. You lose your trust. And I know it can happen quite quick with me. Like I can lose it pretty quick, but I'm like, okay, if there would be even non-responses on it, you would have more trust than with like 20 or 30 of those kind.
Yeah. Have you seen the AI responses on LinkedIn? Because this is another whole thing. Now AI is in the picture. So now you could get an AI bot that you can tell it, follow these 20 people, and every time those 20 people post, write an AI response. And I see it. I had one post that it didn't go viral, but was a lot of people commenting, and underneath there were 4. I swear they were exactly the same. 4 unrelated people. They had used the same AI bot, and it was exactly the same response. And I'm like, oh man, that is not authentic anymore. I called them out. I took screenshots, and I'm like, this is how you do not get my contact requests. I'm actually going to unfollow you. I don't want to see your content ever again. I don't care you commented on my stuff. That's so disingenuous. It's just like, that's not a good way to do it. So
you're not even taking the effort to read and give your own response.
Right. There's a difference between using AI. Let me just rephrase this, between using AI and using AI assisted response, right? There are people who are not great writers. There are people who can't think of anything and they need ideas. Use AI, use AI assisted tools to give you an idea on how to respond, but never copy and paste, right? Take what they say, read the post again, update it, put the name in there, put your own thoughts, have a great day, have a wonderful weekend, whatever. Update it so it's you. If you need assistance in writing, I totally get that. I love writing, but there are things that I don't love doing. So I understand that you want the help, but make it look and sound like it's really you.
Yeah, like it's genuine. Like I feel like if you're completely leaving it up to like such a tool, it's like, I want to respond, but actually I don't, but I have to. So here I am. Yeah, that's how I feel it. And it's just, and those are like external tools, of course, that are being used, because I can't imagine a platform like LinkedIn being supportive of this.
LinkedIn has a AI assist now. If you had the paid version of
Okay.
LinkedIn, underneath a
Hmm.
post, if that's you see in your feed, will say, do you want to use AI to respond? And
Oh.
so I have the prompt, but I don't have the option because I don't pay for LinkedIn currently.
Hmm.
So I haven't tested it, but it only works. It's as soon as I click it and say I want to use it, it says, oh, you have to upgrade to premium. So
Oh.
the premium members do have access to that. And even if LinkedIn doesn't necessarily agree, they do have an API that people use for different things, and people
Yeah.
kludgy things together anyway, or they
Yeah.
copy and paste. They use, Zapier or whatever things to if this and that. So
Yeah.
they kludgy things together to make it work and automate it. And
Hmm.
guys, don't do that. I mean, be you, be
No,
yourself,
please.
be there for real. And even if you spend 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night making real comments on real people's posts, that's how you network. You
That,
can't
yeah,
outsource networking.
no, no, that's, yeah, I feel like if, well, we said earlier about taking shortcuts. This is also like a shortcut of getting somewhere and thinking indeed like, okay, I want to expand my reach. I want more people to know me. And yeah, take into account the vibe that you're spreading and like what people are thinking about you and how do you want them to get to know you?
Right. So there is definitely two train of thoughts. There are people who say, I don't care what they think about me. I just want
Yeah.
to build a following, and I'm going to go from 3,000 followers to 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm going to do it in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use every method that's available, growth hacking. I'm going to do all these things that nobody likes, and I don't care who follows me. Then you end up with 30,000 followers that probably are not in your demographics, are not the ones that are going to
No.
buy from you, but you will be more visible. So that does give you opportunities for sponsorships, for speaking, but eventually the house will come crashing down. What I want to say to you, when you do
Yeah.
those things, eventually it's not sustainable, right? You
No.
can't keep doing that. You're going to fall through because somebody's going to call you on the bullshit that it is.
Yeah.
And if you then get asked to speak or to deliver something or be part of a networking, if you don't know who you're connected with because all of those people came through growth hacking things, you don't have real relationships. So
No.
that's when it comes out. But there is, I mean, I would love to have 15,000 followers. I'm
Yeah.
almost at 7. I would love to double that because I know there's value in being in front of more
Of
people. There will be
course.
more opportunities, but I want to do it the right way. And so,
Yeah.
there are people who just we call it in Dutch een bord voor je kop and just go, right? The plate's right here and they're just going to go. And, it's like the blinders are here. You just go forward.
Yep.
It's one way to do it. People do that
Yeah.
on TikTok. They do that, with content that they create. They don't care what other people think.
Yep.
They don't care the
No.
trolls come out. On LinkedIn, I think there's more on, there's more, not on stake. How do you say that? The stakes are higher because it's
Yeah.
professional. I
Yeah.
think on TikTok, if it's your personal opinion and your personal thoughts, and it's a little bit different, but on LinkedIn, this is your career. So I think doing
Yeah.
some of those things there is probably a little more risky. So I would really
Yeah.
caution against you doing some of those growth hacking things on a platform like LinkedIn. If you want to try some stuff and you want to really grow, go to Instagram or TikTok and try some of those techniques there and see what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's more, you're looking short term. And yeah, that's, you're forgetting about the long term. And of course, short term is important too. But I think that's the importance of whatever you're doing and whatever your goal is, or if it's the business growth or the social media growth or whatever, that's usually a long-term goal. And it's not like you take one step and you're there. It's step after step after step. And like getting a setback and going again, and don't let yourself push out but keep on going, and that's how you reach those long-term goals. And yeah, I think that's just, yeah, the most important thing to keep into account.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there something else you want to say to the people who listen to this episode? I think you shared a lot of value already. But is there something you want to say to them before we start wrapping up?
Um, I would say that if you are a business owner and you want to get more visibility, the one tip that we haven't really talked about at all is get yourself on video. If you're a thought leader and you think about
Yeah.
wanting your thoughts and your ideas. I mean, if you're a business owner, you started a business with a passion, right? You are
Yeah.
an expert in something, you have a product or a service that you think you're the best at selling or producing. And so that thought leadership, that enthusiasm, that bottle that and show it on a platform like LinkedIn. The best way to do that, the easiest way to do that is being on video. People will connect with you. They get to know and like you. Then they start trusting you. That is
Yeah.
something that is really hard to outsource to
Yeah.
a social media manager if you're not willing to be on camera. So that's the one thing
Yeah.
I'll leave you with. If you're a business owner, whether you're a CEO or whether you have your business of one or your business of 3 or 300, taking
Yep.
a little bit of time and effort to be seen and to to be visible and have that thought leadership, whether you go on other people's podcasts or you host your own or you do the videos or a live stream, it
Yep.
will greatly enhance the efforts
Mm-hmm.
of your social media and your marketing team and your
Yeah.
sales team.
Yeah.
That is the one thing that you can do. Intertwine your thought leadership and
Yeah.
why you started the business into their strategy and using video to do that. That would be my number
Yeah.
one tip.
Yeah, I can only agree. Like, I started a YouTube channel 1.5 years ago. I think it's 1.5 years ago. And in the beginning, I posted quite some videos, like a lot of them. And it's so funny because now I just upload my podcast there and then sometimes with videos, sometimes without. But I get new subscribers every week and I promote it nowhere. I'm not promoting it. I'm just, of course, you can find it. Of course, it's on my website, but I don't do any marketing for my YouTube channel. And every week I get new subscribers and I get responses to videos. And that's what I like about video on YouTube, for example. Like the fact that it's like search the CEO, SEO
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's just great. People find your videos of years ago, months ago, and yeah, it's such a valuable way. So yeah, that's a really great tip to end off with. Yeah,
Sure.
definitely. Well, thank you for being in this podcast and sharing your knowledge and expertise with me and the people who listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was so fun. And you're going to come on my podcast, right?
Yes, I think
Yes.
in a month or something, somewhere in
Yeah.
July, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
next
yeah,
month.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna get you on strategy talks, and yeah, I'm
yeah,
looking forward to that. Having another conversation about where you're already expert in, right? Because that's
yeah,
really demonstrating. We're talking about organic social. That's where I'm the
yeah,
expert, and then we're going to talk about
yeah.
strategy and coaching and all those wonderful things when you come to my way, and you can tell me everything I need to know. So I love that. We're basically demonstrating how organic social media works by doing that, by exchanging
Yeah,
podcasts with
exactly.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will also post a link to your social media and your podcast in the description of this episode. So for now, thank you for listening to this episode, and don't forget to tune in the next time.